Wildcard week of the playoffs was awesome. We'll get to that in a second, but first, welcome to Shutout Football. I'm Jeff Stoltzfus, that's Kevin, and we now know more about the ending of that Week 18 Saints-Falcons game that got Arthur Smith so heated. It wasn't Dennis Allen being a D-bag and running up the score, although that would be defensible because it's a divisional foe. That's what you do.
Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentation of the women.
Instead, as Jameis Winston explained it, it was a collective decision on the field by the offense.
And I asked the guys, I said, guys, like, what do you want to do?
And real quick, I just want to give my opinion on this because it's my show and nobody's watching. I get why Arthur Smith was upset. It was disrespectful, especially from the victory formation, but don't let that distract you from the intent. Don't be Shannon Sharp.
I would cut Jameis Winston today. I would not want him on my team.
This wasn't about the Falcons or Arthur Smith. It was about Jamal Williams, who led the league in rushing touchdowns last year, but had 0 this season. It was about a man who, if you've only ever seen one clip of him, you know is hilarious and awesome.
You're holding me right now. I just want to go home and play Pokemon.
Go home and play Pokemon?
Yeah, Pokemon.
Yeah.
Don't do that. You can't disrespect Pokemon like that. Pokemon.
Jameis asked the guys on the field, "You want to get one for Jamal?" And they said, "Hell yeah." Forget your narratives about disrespect to the Falcons or to Arthur Smith, who I could say with confidence was already gonna get fired, or to their own head coach, Dennis Allen. The wrong thing for the right reasons might still be the wrong thing, but at least I can respect where it's coming from. And now, the roast. Welcome to the playoffs. These teams took very different routes to get here. One paid a sexual predator $230 million. The other had a good draft. Everyone kept talking about Joe Flacco coming off the couch. Enough already! I'm intrigued. Show me this couch. The game started with good defense, and I learned Spanish.
Juan Thornhill, watch number 1.
Juan is one? Espanol ain't so hard.
Brought to you by Toyota.
Toyota. Want a truck? The Browns matriculated the ball to the Juan, and a heavy cream got him in for points. C.J. Stroud responded before the end of the first with a pass to Nico Collins, who jammed his yams in for 6. Joe Flacco found Harrison Bryant, who up until now I was confident were 2 very white little boys with a predisposition for skiing. The Browns did a QB sneak and picked up nearly 3 yards. It wasn't even a tush-push, and Flacco damn sure can't squat 600 pounds. I bet if he dropped his car keys, he'd sigh heavy and had to think about it. Flacco threw a shovel pass, and it was cream hunt up the middle for another score. He dragged his junk all over the end zone, marking it like a cat. Brevin Jordan was playing solitaire on the sideline when Stroud lit him up, and he took off like somebody planted a bag of fresh Bolivian marching powder in his glove box and called the cops. His teammates celebrated by convincing him that apples were invisible. Flacco ran for first down, and Desmond King lazy Susan'd on his head. He took it pretty well, considering a man just wiped his ass with his neck. Stroud went deep again, finding Dalton Schultz at the goal line. In the second half, the walls started closing in on Flacco, and mistakes were made. Steven Nelson with a pick 6. Christian Harris with a pick 6. Where is your couch now, Joe? Another useless blimp shot. Nice parking lot. They called Joe Flacco's run a Cinderella story, but it felt more like Thelma and Louise to me. The least they could have done was have Brad Pitt fuck him before he went off that cliff. Call him a favor. He still owes us for Troy. Devin Singletary booty scooted for 1 more touchdown. Human gasoline to further fuel this Viking funeral. Texans win. This game was only on Peacock, causing millions of fans to ask a teenager how to illegally stream this game. Streaming service sounds like a subscription to Golden Showers. NBC was hoping you'd stick around after to watch 20-year-old movies and original programming by the cock, like Dr. Death, who I assume is the president of NBC. Weather was a bitch, -4 degrees at Arrowhead, but it felt like -22. It would have been warmer playing this game on Hoth. At least there, you could climb into a freshly sliced tauntaun to stay warm. I guess hell had frozen over too, because Andy Reid actually ran the ball. Patrick Mahomes threw it to his only wide receiver, Rashee Rice, for the game's first touchdown. Refsicle. Tua felt pressure up the middle and threw an interception. This is how I wave now, like this. Hi. Tyreek Hill was hanging tough in Tron's garage.
The swagger and the juice that he brings to the field.
He's bringing juice to the field? Don't spill. We don't need sticky ice. Or maybe we do. Could that be the answer to this icy field? Spray it with that combination of sodas every theater comes pre-loaded with. The Finns finally got on the board after Tyreek Hill got loose for a touchdown. Raheem Mostert looks like he's been watching videos of homeless amputee puppies set to Sarah McLachlan music. Save them, Raheem. It's just the cost of a coffee. Tungavailoa bobbled the snap and took a sack. Come on, Tua. Stop the shit. Time to give up on being a lefty. It's unnatural. Vic Fangio drank hot coffee from the booth and ran the microwave full blast with nothing in it. He's a big scampio. Andy Reid's mustache froze. He needed a mustache warmer, but no one could find your mom. I assume they chiseled it off later, planted it in an arboretum, and it gave birth to a glorious mustache tree. The circle of life continues. Travis Kelce was stopped short of the line to gain, but he was only playing possum. A classic Kelce move. He loves marsupial roleplay. Mahomes had a big run, and everybody forgot to tackle him. Seriously, what was 45 doing? It's not two-hand touch. A piece of Mahomes' helmet broke off, and you could see its gross helmet guts. Turns out, they're made of Legos. His backup helmet was frozen solid. The team's roadies all took turns farting into it to warm it up, and then duct taped it to his head.
Ready? What's that smell?
Isaiah Pacheco scored a touchdown. It was just more frozen gravy. Taylor Swift sang with the fans. I feel bad for the Dolphins. Nobody wants to get their asses kicked to a top 10 soundtrack. Taylor sat just below Mike Tirico. One rope and the courage to repel. That's all he needed for an autographed copy of Reputation. Chiefs win. Welcome to Jerry World, home of the Cowboys, America's team. Oh fuck, they scored already. Aaron Jones ran one in while the Cowboys were lacing up their boots, or polishing their guns, or I don't really know what they do. Dak Prescott fired one for Brandon Cooks, but it was picked off by Jair Alexander. They made quick work of it with another Aaron Jones touchdown. Then, Jordan Love hit rookie Dontavian Wicks in the end zone. The Packers were shredding a top 5 defense. Prescott got the boys on the move, but he was intercepted again. Darnell Savage took it all the way back, and the Packers were up 27-0. Whatever God you pray to hates the Dallas Cowboys. Kurt Menefee stood between avatars that I assume forced him to commit distressing acts during the commercial break, like listen to Terry Bradshaw. The Cowboys finally got on the board going into the half. The Fox crew could hardly process what they were seeing. After blowing smoke up their asses for 18 weeks, they were all out of breath. After halftime, the Cowboys spent nearly half the quarter just to be nearly intercepted and come away with 3 points. The Packers marched unimpeded, and Aaron Jones got his 3rd touchdown of the game. That's a hat trick, and his hat is a sombrero. Olé! After Tony Pollard scored, the Cowboys went for 2, which they got, but a penalty negated it and moved them back. So they went for the PAT instead, and doinked it. The Cowboys just needed to make a stand with that top 5 defense. But instead, they all went to investigate the offerings of the nearest vending machine, leaving rookie Luke Musgrave all alone. The closest defender was still in week 18 picking his nose, and the Packers poured another one on. On 4th and goal, the Packers had no reason to go for it outside of hilarity and humiliation, but they did it anyway. Like stealing the autistic kid's lunch, they did it because they could. Love hit Romeo Doubs for a score, and they were up by 31 points in the 4th. Finally, the Packers pumped the brakes, resting some of their starters, and the Cowboys narrowed the gap with a couple of Jake Ferguson touchdowns. Dallas got beat like a rented mule. It would have only been fitting if that big-ass scoreboard came crashing down onto the team. Instead, they fucked off to Whataburger, or wherever Texans go. Here we go! To the couch. Packers win. Finally, Detroit was favored in something other than urban decay. It was a chance for Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford to face the teams that traded them away and forced them to swap wives. That's how that works, right? David Montgomery started the scoring. Detroit gave Stafford a warm welcome back.
And Jack Campbell, the rookie, has to bang him out of bounds.
But the Rams had to settle for a stupid field goal. Jahmyr Gibbs took one up the middle for another ground score, and the Lions were stacking points. After tripping over his own feet like Mr. Bean and making fart faces, Matthew Stafford finally connected with rookie Puka Nacua for a long touchdown. In the second, Dan Campbell went for it on 4th and short. Goff threw a dart to Sam Laporta for 6. Matthew Stafford injured his hand on a defender's helmet and was bleeding all over the place. Great, now we gotta worry about Bears. Oh wait, it's the playoffs. We won't see any Bears here. Tutu Atwell got free for another Rams touchdown. Goff got caught in a three-way and tried to fudgy pass the ball to Eric Decker, causing every sphincter in Detroit to clench so hard it sounded like clapping. They showed a 66-year ticket holder. Poor bastard. The greatest generation, forced to endure the worst football of it. He would have had a better time being mowed down on the beaches of Normandy. Nakua made a huge catch, and the Rams got a field goal. This game was tighter than an Amish wife's corn pocket, but the Lions held strong to the end. Lions win. Mother Nature sabotaged this game. It was delayed 2 days just because Highmark Stadium was a vicious maelstrom of white death. The news called it inclement weather. Look at that shit! It's so inclement. 48 hours later and it was still colder than a snowman's taint. There were no assigned seats. Sit where you please, but bring your own burial marker. These teams snuck into the postseason, but the Bills felt destined to be there. The Steelers didn't even have their best player. Trudgiculus Watts was relegated to the sideline. Dawson Knox got the party started. The cold doesn't bother him anyway. I'm kidding, his arteries froze solid and his organs shut down. Fans celebrated by slinging white powder, a tribute to Whitney Houston. George Pickens fumbled early, and the Bills went straight for the jugular. Josh Allen to Dalton Kincaid for another score. Allen was hitting young tight ends like he was Leonardo DiCaprio. Little known fact, Tony Romo suffers from a congenital disorder that forces him to start or end every sentence with Jim.
Here, Jim. Freeze, Jim. This the Jim. The scrimmage, Jim. The Jim. NFL, Jim. Crowd here, Jim. Could you, Jim? Best teams play, Jim. Rhythm, Jim. Here's the hard part, Jim.
Thank God they paired him with Jim Nance, so nobody notices. Deep in the no-no zone, Mason Rudolph was picked off by corner Kyer Elam. Allen scrambled up the gut, fucking up their microbiome. It looked like he was about to go down, but unlike your sister, he wasn't eager to. Breaking free for a 52-yard score. Josh Allen, you magnificent bastard. Why must you be this way? Mason Rudolph got the ball at Deontay Johnson prior to the half. At least on paper, it was still a game. But how would the Steelers respond in the second half?
You've got to insert yourself.
Pretty sure that's a flag, Tony. Josh Allen tush-pushed, but he was picked up and tossed like a dryer sheet. Give him enough time, I bet they could fit him through a keyhole. Rudolph got another score to wee little Calvin Austin, but it was too late. The Bills worked the clock like child labor laws, and Khalil Shakir absolutely would not be denied. He powered to the end zone, just in time for Jim Nance's Tourette's to return.
Pass.
Bills win. This game had all the sex appeal of a 5-car pileup. The Bucs were disrespected hosts from the jump, which was weird, considering the Eagles couldn't find their asses if their hands were stapled to them. Baker Mayfield hit David Moore, who evaded a handful of disinterested defenders and scored. Devin Tompkins, who's 5'8", 155 pounds when he's thinking about cheeseburgers, muscled his way past 4 inept defenders before he was tackled. This defense couldn't stop a toddler from the cookie jar. Devontae Smith caught a bomb to get the Eagles in range, and Dallas Goedert caught a pass for a score. A Buck jumped early on the extra point, so Nick Sirianni sent the Birds back out for 2. To no one's surprise, it was a brotherly shove, but the Bucs shredded it like grade A Parmesan. They might as well have dove face first into a wall. Devontae Smith caught a ball, but he was out of bounds, as you can clearly see here. Fabulous job, Mr. Cameraman. No notes. This game was one of discovery. I learned that a violent hit to the head is equal to holding, an excuse I can't wait to break out at my trial next week. Jalen Hurts ignored wide open receivers to scurry for his life. He was called for intentional grounding just because he observably was. Horrible because it was a safety, but also kinda nice to see him intentionally do anything. Rookie Trey Palmer escaped a hollow impression of tackling and ran free for points. Was Nick Sirianni gonna get fired after this game? I don't know, but they ought to at least take away his spaghetti for a month. Under pressure, Baker Mayfield vomited one final pass for Chris Godwin, who scored with ease. Mayfield looked like Tom Brady. No, he looked better than Tom Brady. Baker Mayfield is better than Tom Brady. End quote. Fuck this game, Bucs win.
And now it's time for the soft pretzel of the week.
Yummy.
This week, the pretzel goes to Jason Kelce. As of the filming of this, his retirement is still just a rumor, but I believe it. I believed it since week 3 when I saw his face on the sideline. You could just tell. The dude is a dude, if you know what I'm saying. He's my favorite player. A center, right? And yet I have multiple Jason Kelce jerseys. He's just Hall of Fame Eagle. Stand-up guy. I celebrate him and his family and his 13-year career in the NFL. He's earned more than a few pretzels. Stay salty, my friend. Thanks for watching Shut Up Football. Leave your comments below, say hi to your mom for me, and we'll catch you next week. Peace!
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys. It sound right, boy.
You wanna share a pretzel, Kelce? Not like in a, Lady and the Tramp spaghetti kind of way, but like hang out, drink beers, eat pretzels? That appeal to you? You like that idea? You like the sound of that? Ow, 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 ow.